if you can explain what is the crack?
Hey, the crack.
How can I have the crack? What's the crack?
What is the crack? You are the crack.
And before we get into the rest of the episode and the interview with Teague Egan, the CEO of EnergyX, I just wanted to talk to you about a company whose CEO also came on the show earlier this month. I want to talk to you about Dub. Dub, all audio crack listeners, all crackheads have to go to dubapp.com-Billy right now, because if it wasn't for Dub, this episode might not be airing right now. We love Dub. Dub is our first presenting sponsor. We love Dub. And Dub, the Dub app, is like eBay for investing. They've built a marketplace where you can copy the investments of great traders or be the trader who gets copied. It's the democratization of access to hedge funds. Usually to get some of the returns some of these large hedge funds get, you need millions of dollars. But guess what? You can get the same returns and not have to be a millionaire with Dub. It's bringing the concept of picking people instead of stocks to investing to the masses. Today, you need millions to invest in a top hedge fund manager, but with Dub, you just need way less. Portfolios are based on politicians, insiders, and hedge funds. Users have built portfolios that track their public trade filings. One of the top performers is the Pelosi portfolio. It's up over 70% this year. And the portfolios are also built by up-and-coming traders. Users have built portfolios trading tons of unique strategies. Some of them are beating Pelosi and now have thousands of copiers. Best part is, no one can fake performance. It's the first regulated copy trading platform. So there's a lot of other apps that are not regulated. This company, Dub Capital, is an SEC registered investment advisor. That is not the Southeastern Conference. That is the Securities and Exchange Commission. And Dub Financial is a broker dealer member of FINRA, just like the Fidelity or Schwab. Also SIPC, insured up to $500K. So they're the real deal. They have the government stamp of approval, and trades happen automatically. So I put some money in there and I don't even have to think about it. There's people who spend all day looking at the stock market and know much more than me and more about stock trading. And I can just put it in and trust that they're going to be doing their best to grow their money and grow my money. And then once I press copy, everything happens automatically. So you don't have to check it every day. When the portfolio trades, you trade. It's so easy. You can set it and forget it. So please go to my link to download dubapp.com-Billy. Sign up for a 1-week free trial of Dub. Cancel at any time. Invite friends and get $20 each. So, hey, if you have a group chat of 10 guys, send it in there and you'll get $100 $200 if you give everyone $20 and you get $20. So Barstool Sports is a paid promoter for Dub and receives compensation for the promotion of its services. This is not investment advice. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Please go to my link to download dubapp.com-Billy. That's dubapp.com-Billy. And now back to Teague Egan. Welcome back to Audio Crack. We have a very special guest today, Teague Egan, CEO of EnergyX, host of the Extraordinary Show. Check it out on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Teague is someone who I heard speak at a conference and then realized that he was actually intertwined in early Barstool history in the Blackout Tour.
Tour.
So you were on a bus way back in the day, like back in the Milton days with Dave, all the guys going town to town doing the tour.
What year did Barstool start?
I think it was technically 2004.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this was 2010 or 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I met Dave and around that.
You were Sammy Adams' manager, agent?
No, I owned his record label.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How does that go?
Nothing against managers. There's a lot of really successful managers out there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no ownership necessarily in management. So I felt like the best path into the industry was to own the company that owned his music.
Mm-hmm.
And I started a company called First Round Records and signed Sammy Adams as our first artist. And as the record label owner, we had a 50-50 deal with him and on the music. So we owned all the masters. We still make money from that today. And then we had a 360 deal with his touring, his merch, that kind of stuff.
Oh, sweet.
Managers typically get depending on the deal with the artist, 20% of the artist's revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not too clued in on the music industry, like the ins and
it could have
outs
changed. This is 14 years ago at this point.
Yeah. I mean, so how old were you at that time when you
21, something like that. 20,
Wow.
21. Yeah.
So that's sort of like, that's the dynamic that Scooter Braun was dealing with like Taylor Swift, right? That whole thing. That's the only time I heard about like the Masters deal, and then like Michael Jackson bought
Yeah, dude.
Eminem's like Masters.
So Scooter Braun just bought the record label that owned Taylor Swift's Masters, which is a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah.
Kind of sneaky. He could never have bought the Masters themselves, like,
Right.
you know, but he just went and bought the whole company that owned the Masters.
So
which,
so is the Masters like the IP, the intellectual property behind like the original recordings?
essentially.
So was the company
It's
technically
all kind of convoluted. There's publishing in there. There's
Yeah.
masters, but yeah, he bought the actual songs themselves.
now was the company kind of cheaper than the actual Masters in a way?
For Taylor Swift, probably.
Yeah, that's actually wild. So he just like backdoored it in a way to like,
the company's worth less than the underlying assets.
how does that work?
It's actually the case in a lot. That's actually the case for, like, I can think about our company or companies in the mining industry
Yeah.
that have like multiple projects.
Mhm.
Like you have a top co, and then that top co has like multiple mining projects, like a lithium project in Chile or a copper project in Africa. And the project themselves have a huge inherent value called a NPV, or net present value, based on, you know, how much revenue that project is going to generate over its 20 or 40-year lifetime. But the company itself could be trading at a different stock value, or investors might value that differently, not based on the underlying assets.
Whoa.
So, you know, there's sometimes discrepancies in there, and you can kind of get good deals or get, you know, undervalued. Like there's a whole business on buying distressed assets,
Right.
but where the underlying assets are worth way more. So private equity will come in, buy a company, and then sell off the parts of the company that equal more than the top company itself.
Wow. I mean, before we get more into the lithium space and EnergyX, let's go back to college. So
College.
you were because this is like an insane story, and now thinking about this story in the days of NIL nowadays is wild. So you were the youngest NFL agent at the time.
I was.
And I don't think there's anyone who's been younger since.
I don't think there ever will be either,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah, man. This is another flashback.
Yeah,
You know,
we're gonna go back there, then we'll go forward.
Yeah, another flashback. Now we're going back again, you know, 14 years or so. I became the youngest ever NFL agent when I was 21 years old. So it was like the same time I was running the record label. And it was interesting because all of the, you know, I had all these friends that were on the football team.
Right.
And they saw me as a successful businessman. Like I was running this record label. There's this line that Drake says, he goes, "We want to be them and they want to be us," referring to athletes. Like all athletes want to be artists and all artists want to be athletes. But all my friends on the football team saw me running this successful record label, and like, it's actually quite ironic. You know, this is what I was saying 15 years ago. And I obviously wasn't the only one saying this, but like, it's ironic how, like the musician that I was working with, who was 20, like I think I'm the same or 1 year younger than Sammy or something, but like he's 21 years old in college, making millions of dollars from his music.
Yeah.
And there's obviously tons of other examples of younger artists, but that couldn't be the case in athletics, right?
Right.
It was only a matter of time before NIL, like that's a fundamental like American principle that you can make money and like support yourself.
Shedeur Sanders is wearing $500K of jewelry during the game, which I just
crazy.
I'm so surprised that there isn't more like Crabtree, Talib. I forget his name.
Aqib Talib.
Yeah, who's like snatching chains. Like,
do you think that Shedeur Sanders is good? Do you think he's going to be a number one pick?
So I think Travis Hunter bails him out a lot.
Okay.
I think he's the better out of the two.
Okay.
And I think he cashes in on Hunter making plays. He's good, but I mean, some of his comments with the offensive lineman stuff, it's probably taken out of context, but at the same time, there's definitely an attitude that's going to be hard in an NFL locker room because you're going to go into somewhere with like grown men And that's like a huge transition that people don't think about. Like, and we had a rookie NFL player who like played D3 and then he went to the next level. There's a huge difference between a high school locker room, everyone's the same age, college locker room, everyone's pretty much the same age. And there's sort of like we're kids mentality, and like you can mess around more in that way. But like when you get into an NFL locker room, it's an office space.
Yeah.
And it's like, that doesn't fly. Like we're professionals.
Yeah.
Which, you know, as a quarterback, it's going to be a weird dynamic, but you know, he's been making the throws. I don't think he'd be as noteworthy. Like
has he been making the throws? Like
he's been making decent throws, but I don't think he's like, you know, Raiola on Nebraska is a way better quarterback.
Right.
And no one knew about him. Everyone knew about Shedeur, but no one knew about Raiola, who's been outplaying Shedeur in like that game against Nebraska where they got blown out, showed that. So it's going to be one of those things where he's going to really like, I don't think Shedeur makes anyone else on the field better. You know, like a lot of great quarterbacks bring up the talent level of everyone else on the field. He's been playing with top talent his whole life. So, you know, we'll see. I'm not a hater. I want to see him succeed, but you know, it's just
this might be controversial.
Yeah.
But I think that Shedeur is closer to Bronny James.
Yes.
Than he is to being the number one or even a first round pick. Like,
right. Exactly.
He is obviously very noteworthy because of the situation he's in, his social media following. Mm-hmm. And I am obviously no NFL scout and haven't broken down like his throws. Yeah. But like, dude, I mean, you know, I guess they won 28-3 yesterday, but they got blown out the game before, right?
They had to beat Colorado State. Like,
and their first game, they won a nail biter against like some like FCS team, like
NDSU. Which is
last year they had that like 4-game winning streak at the beginning of the season, and they lost 8 straight or something like that. You know, it's. Obviously, I wish him the best, right? Like, you know, but he's crushing it now. He could not make the NFL and never have to work again. He's making $4 million a year right now because of NIL.
I mean, there's just certain things that he does, which is kind of like, wait a second, dude. Like when he threw that pick six against Nebraska, he threw late to the flat on a curl route, and that's one of those things that like, you know, high school quarterbacks do, and he did that in his own, you know, on the 20, and that's just like a give me pick six. So it's like, you can't make those mental errors. And the thing is in that play, he wasn't getting pressured. I think they were only rushing 3 guys. So it's like
stepping up in the pocket. You know who doesn't step up in the pocket either is Caleb Williams.
Dude, you see that game last night?
Yeah, dude, he looks terrible.
I mean, it's one of those things where he's now in the NFL, that scrambling and playmaking he was able to do in college. He's sort of hasn't hit the learning curve where it's like, can't do that anymore. Like can't keep going back because you're going to get a 30 yards like loss. Yeah. So
another super controversial take, perhaps.
Yeah.
People are trying to compare him to Patrick Mahomes. He's nowhere near. No. I think that Caleb Williams, and this is coming from a Trojan too, by the way. I think that Caleb Williams is an equal, maybe slightly worse version of RG3.
That's actually a great take.
RG3 won the Heisman.
Yeah.
RG3 was faster, probably better arm. Hard to understand if he has the same football IQ, but like RG3 is smart. Like you listen to him as a commentator now, like RG3 was a really, really high IQ quarterback. And he went out of the league, tried to scramble a little bit too much, got knocked around.
Yeah.
And had some good plays, but like he was never even close to a Pro Bowl or even a playoff caliber quarterback.
I mean, being on the Redskins is tough, especially at that time period.
Yeah.
I think it was Gruden's brother who was the head coach at that time.
Jay
Gruden. Yeah. And then he just like got him killed, basically.
Yeah.
Like that one injury where his knee just went like 40, like a 90-degree angle the wrong way. It was just wild. But like he could have been better if he didn't have all those injuries and he had a better offensive line.
Yeah.
But Caleb Williams, it's going to be one of those things where, you know, guys around him in the locker room, like, you know, you're not Caleb Williams, you know, cool guy, so cool. You can paint your nails and no one cares.
Right.
Getting NIL deals. And then you're in an NFL locker room. You have grown ass men being like, dude, just stop. You're not that guy. You're not in college anymore. Stop giving us 30 yards.
Okay. So who's better or who will be like over the next 3 years, who will be better Caleb Williams or Kyler Murray?
Oh, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's
Okay.
been playing well. I mean, Kyler Murray, he had an insane touchdown yesterday where he was rolling out and he just threw a dot like 50 yards.
Yeah.
Like he's adapting to the game better. He's learning.
Mhm.
Like, when he was at Oklahoma, he was doing a lot of like the Caleb Williams running backwards, not stepping up.
Who was the number 1 pick last year?
Number 1 pick last year was Bryce Young,
Oh, yeah.
who is
Okay.
ass.
Ass.
Terrible. It's one of those things where I have this
And
theory
who?
on
How about the year
quarterbacks.
before? Trevor Lawrence was the year before, I think.
No, I think Trevor Lawrence was 2 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
So what about the year before?
year before was, I'm blanking. But I think, no, wasn't it Tua? Or,
No, Tua was the same draft class as.
Yeah.
No.
Jalen Hurts. We'll find that. But
Yeah.
the thing about quarterbacks for me is that I think that quarterbacks who play on really good teams their whole life, who like have never felt the struggle of like not having good talent around them, not having, 5-star offensive linemen, don't adapt as well to the NFL because they can't make other people around them better. Like quarterbacks who had worse records, who struggled more, I think are more likely to have success. Like, for example, a Tom Brady.
Interesting.
Like was not from a super huge powerhouse high school, was not 5 stars, did not like play with a bunch of.
He crushed at Michigan and won a Rose Bowl though.
Yeah. But his team wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
some of these Alabama or Clemson teams now.
Tom Brady's an outlier.
Yeah. But you can see that with like quarterbacks like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy like went through the gauntlet. Like he had to make plays and make other people better around him. Whereas like, a lot of these guys, Tua.
Dude, let's talk about Tua.
Yeah. Tua needs to retire.
Does he?
Yes, he needs to retire.
And leave $125 million on the table?
Well, he got paid. He's got a decent chunk of change.
He got $43 million this year. And then he had his rookie contract, which is probably another 20. So yeah, he's $60 million bucks.
That's like,
he's probably spent a lot. If you're Tua, you're leaving $125 million on the table.
You know why? Because literally the fencing response isn't supposed to happen on those types of hits. Tua, so like the fencing response when his hands start doing weird thing. So I got in trouble on a live stream because I didn't know the right terminology for fencing response. But one time, like when it first happened a couple of years ago or a year ago, there was these Jet fans and we were at a Dolphins game. So I actually had to apologize to Tua because I said,
what'd you say?
I said, oh shit. And I wasn't making fun of it. I just didn't know the word.
I learned the fencing. I learned that term actually on Sunday or last week, Thursday.
So I was looking for the term fencing response in my brain, but I'm on a live stream. We're live. I'm like trying to process what I'm just seeing. I'm like, holy fuck. Tua's throwing up the gang signs again. And I was like, if you watch the video, I wasn't like laughing. I was like, oh my God, like this is so fucked up. I feel bad. Dolphins fans have been coming at me on Twitter.
Whatever.
I'm sorry. I wasn't being insensitive. It's a terrible thing, but he like, if your brain is like, they say like you lose your chin in boxing.
Yeah.
When it comes to brain, like brain damage and whatnot, he's like lost his chin where like those hits like are a little more typical, but shouldn't be getting the fencing response from one hit from Damar Hamlin, who's 190 pounds.
Yeah.
Also, Damar Hamlin, people don't talk like Damar Hamlin's got to learn to tackle differently because he just like chests up people, and that's how he like had his accident.
Dude, I thought, for Damar's sake, I thought it was a good tackle.
Yeah. No, but he hits people and lets them.
You know what I think about though? Like, okay, so Tua is this guy who's been playing football his whole life, and he just got his contract in July, $212 million, 167 million guaranteed. Got his first chunk of 43, so he has 123 or 4 on the table, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference in? You have to assume doctors are going to clear him, right? The Dolphins,
right.
What's the difference in other professions like MMA, right?
Yeah.
These dudes like probably get fucked up and like concussions and like injuries at the same rate. There's probably some that have gotten that, right? Boxing, MMA, or like people that I don't know, are like in the army and shit. People that are protecting our freedoms in the military.
Yeah.
Like, why can this guy, like, sure, he can retire, but he has an opportunity to make 125 million. I'm not retiring.
Well, the thing is, it's like the MMA stuff, it's interesting because football, as you can tell with Tua, he's had a lot of big hits. The MMA guys and the boxers, they have a lot of subconcussive blows, which, you know, over time, like a lot of offensive linemen have it. Like that's where like the Parkinson's come in later in life. Like that's where like serious CTE comes with Tua. Like he might have severe, like there's no point to like sign and keep playing for that 120 million because, you know, you can't even enjoy it because you're just like a vegetable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Granted, I've never had a concussion. Actually, I've had one concussion skiing, overshot a jump, hit the ground, blacked out, concussion.
So but, those aren't as bad for like CTE as like the subconcussive blows.
Dude, you know what's even crazier? If there was one person in the NFL that would have been a candidate for that new Guardian cap, it would have been Tua. Like, why, like they should have forced him to wear that Guardian cap.
So with the Guardian cap, honestly, basically when they first designed football helmets, and there's some hilarious videos. Actually, Nicky Quinn put this video for a clip. There's these hilarious videos of the guys who first put on like a hard shell football hat instead of like a leather head. And literally there's a video of these guys just headbutting a stone fence like that's around their field. I think it was literally like the Yale football team in like 1925. And they're like, look at how awesome this helmet is. We can just headbutt this like stone fence. And it was supposed to prevent skull fractures. Yeah. Because that was what was one of the, like people used to die from football until Teddy Roosevelt in 1904 saved the sport, like GOAT president saved football. Like, but it's crazy because it was never supposed to actually prevent subconcussive blows. Right. So now there's an argument like we should just get rid of helmets because there's actually less incidents of like concussions and like getting blacked out while hit. Yeah,
I don't think that argument has much legs, but
no, like if you look at rugby and how many like they do get concussions,
those guys get fucked up.
But it's like headgear in boxing. Headgear in boxing is actually worse for your brain because you take more direct punches. Yeah. But it's better for your face. So like you won't get cut up and like your skin won't get abrasions and whatnot, but your brain will take more of the damage because you're an easier target to get a direct hit on. You can't like slip punches off the side. So there is that argument with football. Like it would reduce like your brain shaking. But
dude, it's crazy that he, you know, had all that stuff happen in 2022 and then took jujitsu and falling courses and basically played every game in 2023. Yeah. Got his huge contract. And then the second game doesn't slide, goes head first, boom, concussion.
Well, the thing is
thinking.
Well, so I know exactly like there's this thing with quarterbacks when they throw too many picks, and I've actually been guilty of this myself. When you know you're being detrimental to the team with your decision making, and like he threw 3 picks, one was terrible. Like
the first one was a tip. That was
but the second one where he was trying to throw it out of bounds and it was just a pick six. He basically was like, I need to like show this team that I'm contributing and be an asset. And like part of that's like, I'm going to run over this dude. Imagine if DeMar Hamlin, it was the exact same type of hit that DeMar Hamlin got his heart stopped on. It was a helmet to the chest. And Tua this time around got the brunt of it, but DeMar almost had the exact same hit that put him out. Yeah. But wild.
Wow, wild.
But so Tua should walk away because it's just that the straw, you know, he can't withstand the same amount of head trauma as before because it will elicit a fencing response faster. Now that, you know, basically he doesn't have as much, his brain can't handle it as much anymore.
I'm not walking away from 125 mil if I'm Tua, but
you probably,
to each his own.
You probably can't even think like who knows what Tua's like. Imagine enjoying.
If he's not medically cleared by his doctors, then he might be able to walk away with that money. Yeah. If you can't think, But
if you think about it, like enjoy 60 mil or roll the dice and may not be able to.
Look at Brett Favre, dude. Brett Favre. How many concussions do you think Brett Favre had?
Yeah. Well, now he's
So
accidentally.
that guy must be in double-digit concussions.
Dude,
And got up and just kept playing.
well, now he's just like accidentally committing like tax fraud. No.
Yeah.
I think that was all cleared up. He did nothing wrong, but like a lot of these guys, it's actually crazy. Like I know some like NFL players post the game, like who weren't, during a time where people took like mental health CT seriously. And now they're just like absolutely like, they need like a caregiver just to like walk them around. And it's usually their spouse or someone. And they're like, they're not even there, but it's wild. A lot of hockey players too.
Yeah.
But so if I was to walk away, it's not worth it. Like enjoy the 60 mil. Cause at that point,
60 mil is still a lot of money.
yeah. If you had 60 mil, try to get 5% returns every year. That's pretty awesome life doing nothing. So, but now getting to EnergyX. So you were an early investor in Tesla. What was that path from seeing something like Tesla? And then did you get inspiration from Tesla to be like, I want to do my own shit?
Of course.
What was that experience like? Like getting to the, I can't imagine that undertaking and just seeing Tesla strike gold and then trying to strike lithium yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I invested in Tesla in 2013. Like early 2013. Today, it's gone through a series of stock splits. So today my basis would be like $4 a share. I'm not sure what it's trading at. I think it's trading at like in the 200s or something. At one point I was at 100x return.
Whoa.
Yeah, but I made a ton of money on that. And I actually I invested $500K to start. So that would have equated to 50 million if I got out at 100K all the shares. Obviously that's not the case, but within the first 4 months of owning the stock, it doubled in price. And so I went from 500K to $1 million. And I decided to sell some of the shares and buy a Tesla. It's like I basically just got a free Tesla.
Yeah.
I bought this was 2013 again, and I bought a Model S. That was like the newest, highest. I got the performance P85 plus. Dropped 140 grand on that Tesla. It's like, this is free money that I just made over the past like few months.
Yeah.
Turns out that was a pretty expensive Tesla to buy, considering that the stock that I sold to buy that, would have this value of that stock would be way more than the cost of the car. But that's what got me interested in electric vehicles, and frankly following Elon. And I mean, that guy is just on another level, like the top level of entrepreneurship, of ingenuity, of vision. And that's what really got me interested in the whole energy transition, seeing him build Tesla and build these just the coolest electric cars, like the coolest cars, regardless of being electric or not, like 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. The screen, the app, like it's a computer that's a car, right? And it really made me believe in the future of electric vehicles. And that hypothesis turned out to be true. Like essentially every single major auto manufacturer has committed tens of billions of dollars to electrifying. So but I believed in that before most, and wanted to figure out how to get into the industry. And as I looked at electric vehicles and looked at where potential opportunities were, I recognized the supply chain and the battery, and specifically lithium being one of the biggest opportunities, and lithium being really the limiting factor in allowing the whole energy transition. Like, obviously there's tens of millions, 80 million cars made a year, right?
Yeah.
The main difference between EVs and ICE cars, internal combustion engines, is the battery, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people started building battery gigafactories, and obviously you need to build that capacity to build batteries. But then the question is, okay, well, what goes into a battery?
Yeah.
And there's several different metals that go in, but most of them, like copper or nickel, have other applications. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 25, 30 million tons of copper produced a year. Copper is like electric wiring and conduit. Copper's, iron is in one form of chemistry of batteries. Like, oh man, I don't even know how much iron, hundreds of millions of tons of iron made per year for buildings and steel, etc. But lithium really doesn't have any other application or major application other than batteries.
Yeah.
And, I saw that as a huge opportunity of this, like, essentially commodity that very little of was produced today that will need orders of magnitude more. So that gave me the idea to start EnergyX.
I mean, so do you believe that the internal combustion engine will become obsolete?
No. I think that there's definitely use cases. I mean, over what times, it's a time span type question. Like today, in terms of vehicle, like cars or like ground based vehicles, it could, and it's certainly moving in that direction. It'll essentially become like the horse and buggy.
Yeah.
Like how many people use horse and buggies? Like not right. Still some, but the difference is that internal combustion engines are used in airplanes,
right?
Or like boats. Boats could feasibly become electric too. Airplanes, battery technology is nowhere near good enough to power airplanes. And it might not get there for hundreds of,
a lot of the drones we're seeing, if they are able to scale up and if the batteries are able to get to the point, maybe, you think?
So the thing is that, drones use batteries, right?
Yeah.
But the reason that airplanes use fuel, or that it will be very hard to transition to batteries, is because batteries weigh the same as when they start as when they finish. Like I'm about to fly to Africa actually today.
Oh, where?
I'm going to hike Kilimanjaro this week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tanzania?
Yeah, Tanzania.
Oh, that's awesome.
But you fill up an airplane with, thousands of pounds of gasoline. And then by the time it gets to the place it's going, that gasoline has been burned. So the airplane weighs significantly less by the time it gets there, which obviously increases the range. The battery does not lose any weight. Now the electron is being used to charge the thing that it's powering. But the battery weighs the same when it starts as to when it finishes. And that's like a major physics problem of why it'll be really hard to apply batteries to long scale airplane flights.
So with with our energy grid and, the carbon emissions and how that all works is the internal combustion engine is a localized, creation of electricity in a way. And with a lot of these electric vehicles, it's less carbon output locally. How do you see us modernizing the electric grid so that we get to the point where it's zero carbon emissions and downstream? A lot of people say that electric cars are just, passing the buck to the power plant to burn and create the emissions as opposed to doing it right in your car locally. Do we all go nuclear? What do you think is going to be the way that we modernize our grid?
Yeah. That's there's some truth to that, but not to the extent that people may realize. By avoiding carbon emissions at the vehicle level, like burning gasoline in a car, you're saving thousands of tons of CO2 emissions per ton of lithium utilized. So 1 ton of lithium equates to about 14 cars.
Yeah.
And so 14 cars saves, I can't remember the exact number. I think it's somewhere around 10,000 tons of CO2 emissions per year, right?
Okay.
Now, the question is, to your point, how do you charge the battery? And well, if you charge your battery from renewable sources like solar or wind, then there's literally zero emissions, right? But if you're charging your car from fossil fuel emitting power generation, like natural gas or God forbid coal, things like that, there's obviously emissions at the power generation point that is then charging the battery.
Right.
But you're still saving thousands and thousands of tons of CO2 emissions at the car level. So yeah, we do need to improve our power generation. Batteries don't produce power.
Right.
But batteries store energy that is then reused. You have to charge your battery with some sort of power. We do need to improve our grid, hands down. And for all of the renewable energy that's coming online, power, wind, solar, it actually hasn't diminished fossil fuels at all. It's just been additional energy onto the grid. So like where you may think that fossil fuels has been going down, like it's actually still been going up. And then renewables is just added on because our global power demands just keep increasing. But I'm a big believer in nuclear.
Yeah.
Whether that's fission or fusion. I think both are excellent sources. There's obviously some at least perceived like safety concerns with fission because of, some nuclear meltdowns that happened. But like those really that was a lot of perception. Like not that many, I don't think if any people died.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. People talk about, like these disaster scenarios, like, was it Fukushima?
Fukushima,
and then
and 3 Mile Island.
And then why am I blanking on the place in Ukraine?
Russia.
They made that whole series about it, which was insane. But basically, that zone, there's people still living there. There's animals still living there, and their like lifespan hasn't decreased from their like the Eurasian bison.
I think there's also a perception that like you can make bombs out of these. Like it's nuclear bombs, which are obviously devastating. But nuclear needs to become a huge, if not the biggest, power source for civilization to continue growth, I think. And when we crack the code for fusion, which is really safe inherently, unless it's like intentfully weaponized. Fusion is unlimited free energy. Essentially.
So that's what I've heard. Like it's literally, if you put in, 10 gigawatts of electricity, I have no idea what I'm talking about with the units, but 10 gigawatts of electricity, it'll pump out 30 and it will actually create a perpetual energy.
With fusion?
With fusion. That's a new one, right?
So fusion is when you merge two atoms. And then the merger of these atoms just creates releases enormous energy. Fission is where you pull an atom apart. And that also creates a lot of energy. Not as much as fusion.
I mean, we see the horror stories. So Chernobyl is the place we were talking about. Chernobyl, which, I mean, great HBO series, by the way, if you watch it. But what's crazy now is that whole zone is become a huge wildlife sanctuary.
Has it? I didn't know that.
So like there, think about Europe, all the megafauna in Europe was largely extinct because, humans hunted the Eurasian bison, like brown bears, the European brown bear. And then there's actually wild horses that like the Eurasian wild horse. So they're now all recovering in Chernobyl, and like they all are sort of radioactive in a small degree, but life is like actually come back to there hugely because humans just aren't there.
Interesting.
And they're testing the health of a lot of these large mammals to see if there's any comparison to humans. And there's actually still people living there in Chernobyl who I'm not leaving. Like, screw it. There's actually a lot of, it's a lot of old guys who just like have had a farm there.
Yeah.
And they're just stubborn Russian, Ukrainian dudes. And the same thing's happening in Eastern
Just
Ukraine.
coping with it.
Yeah. Like during the war, they're just like, I seen these like crazy videos where there's just this dude like with a walking stick, like walking right by a trench, and he's just like farming. And like the soldiers are like, sir, like you're in the middle of a battlefield. And he's like, they're not going to shoot me. They'll shoot you guys.
Yeah.
It's crazy. like that mentality. I mean, speaking of drones, the drone stuff coming out of there, have you seen some of those videos?
Drones can be weaponized in crazy ways.
Dude, that is the most terrifying thing on earth. That's like Black Mirror, that one with the dogs running, but they're flying. Yeah. It's even worse.
Man, wait till the drones have AI too.
Dude. I mean, honestly, all these large weapons manufacturer like the like Raytheon and all these, they're like improved like planes and whatnot to such a level that they're like, let's just get rid of the pilots because we could be so much better if we had a robot flying these things. Yeah. Like get rid of the human error. That's where a lot of the F1 engineers are now at. They're like, okay, we've gotten these cars to the point where like the only way we could improve is just get rid of the human.
Yeah. Like, I mean, how good do you think F1 drivers actually are? Like,
depends on how much.
Like how much is the driver versus the car?
I think that the driver, it gets to this point where like you can only make so many mistakes. And I think the driver, a Max Verstappen, I think is the best. I don't follow it too closely, but it turns out he just wins every race.
Right. Is that just because of his car, or like if you put him in a different car, is he still winning every race? Like that's the question.
Would an electric vehicle be faster?
There's Formula E.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, so like not all the cars are the same.
Yeah.
In Formula One or Formula E. In Formula E, in the very beginning, they used to be all the same, right? But like if you just put Max Verstappen drives for, I think, Red Bull. Yeah. If you just put him in like the Ferrari car or the Aston Martin car, is he still winning like every single race?
I honestly feel like
because
Red
he's
Bull,
the best driver, or is it because his car is just like?
I think they might design the car around the driver. I feel like if you're putting that much money into it, it's just like, Max, what do you like? Like, do you like this steering wheel? Do you like, we're going to build it to your size? Because they're building him custom for him. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little bit of both, but there's a huge methamphetamine problem in all car racing.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
For reaction speed. Adderall, like modafinil, Dexedrine.
All the drivers are drugging up.
Yeah, because they need to lock in. I mean, all the fighter pilots take it. Like I know some fighter pilots, they actually came to the Barstool office and they're like, yeah, when we're going like night missions, they give us this stuff that's just straight up speed. And like sometimes you can't sleep for days.
Smelling salt. Yeah.
It's not even a smelling salt, like straight up like Pervitin, like the stuff they gave the Nazis to like go do the Blitz, like crazy stuff. But it helps your reaction speed so much that we looked this up the other day about drug testing in F1. And I mean,
wow, that's crazy. Are those drugs outlawed in like boxing and shit, or?
So
I guess you're not allowed to do speed anyway.
Well, they take Adderall so much in the NFL. Like it locks you in. I mean, anybody.
But it sounds like shit like is more intense than Adderall that would keep you awake for days.
Modafinil.
Okay.
Which is like which was a narcolepsy drug, but it doesn't give you the high of like speed, like the euphoria, but it just keeps you up. Yeah. And it's like it's really abused by like soldiers, like just to stay up. But if it makes your reaction speed so much better, that edge is what you need. Yeah. Like to race it, like the reaction speed of like some of those turns. But getting back to it, like if you had a robot AI in there, the information processing would be just so much faster and would beat any human. Yeah. So that's why AI drones, like imagine if there was an Independence Day scenario where like we have fighter pilots who are like trying to combat against AI drones. Yeah. Like the AI is like, we got to destroy the humans. They're going to destroy the world. And like, that would be wild. Yeah. But speaking of space, SpaceX, do you have any plans to go to space?
Yeah, I'd love to go to space. That'd be really sweet.
So these guys actually, like Jeff Bezos kind of went to fake space, like on the Blue Origin.
Yeah, it's
like,
called the Kármán line.
Yeah, I was looking up like the highest airplane flight, and they were only like 1,000 feet above the highest airplane. So I was like, okay, but like these guys, this guy on SpaceX, he actually went to straight up space.
Yeah.
Like-
SpaceX goes to space.
Yeah, I mean,
Some people may not know that, I guess. Yeah, I mean, SpaceX delivers cargo and crew to the International Space Station. They're planning lunar trips.
Whoa. They saved those 2 people, right?
Are they saved yet? I thought that it was going to be from the Boeing Starliner.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be early 2025.
Okay. Well, they're
Like,
going to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. Imagine being those 2 people. Like you're just
Yeah.
trapped, and you like, it's a couple. It's like
beyond me why the government keeps funding Boeing. For like space missions,
Mhm.
or at least the model that they do it. And Elon actually goes into this a lot in his Walter Isaacson biography, just about the way that the business model is set up, like cost plus, like however much it costs, and then you get paid on top of that, incentivizes companies like Boeing to just take forever and make it really expensive, and like clearly it's not working.
Yeah.
Versus like success-based payment, which is how SpaceX wanted to do it, and SpaceX is just crushing it.
I mean, the whole Boeing thing is weird to me because, like, you know, our large scale manufacturing was supposed to be like the pinnacle of, you know, America. Like America's exports large like airplanes, weapon systems, like that's our bread and butter when it comes to our economy. And to have Boeing screw up so much, like you almost think that there's like outside influence, like trying to take out the company from within.
Yeah, I mean, we still do have the best obviously
right.
China manufactures a lot of stuff, but nobody manufactures military equipment
Yeah.
like the US.
They're pretty killer at it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those things like, what is going on in Boeing? Like the government should step in to a point to like investigate, like, because they are a cornerstone of our economy.
I think they have. I think that there were congressional hearings.
Yeah.
Their CEO stepped down.
Yeah.
And there's a new CEO in Boeing now, so hopefully the ship gets righted.
Yeah. But I mean, so going back to EnergyX, you guys have, you know, recently acquired feedstock, required natural resources in Chile. How's that process dealing with a foreign government being like going and be like, hey, we would like to buy this asset? In Chile's pretty nationalized, and like
it's not nationalized.
But from a like foreign investment, not that all the assets are nationalized, but like it's not America,
right?
You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, man, it was super interesting, and I'm thrilled with the acquisition we made. We acquired 100,000 acres of mining tenements to go build a world-class lithium mine. It's not like we're going to build structure on all of that.
Right.
You know, basically we get to pull brine from subsurface, and then the facility will only be like 10 acres or so.
Yeah.
Or thereabouts. But yeah, it's a world-class project that's going to produce enough lithium for initially about 560,000 electric vehicles.
Wow.
And we're drilling for the brine right now. We've built a demonstration plant.
Sweet.
And then, the goal is to build a commercial plant by 2027, the first train, and then the full thing by 2029, and then expand from there. I mean, eventually we could be producing enough lithium to supply millions and millions of cars. We also have a project in the United States, in Texas.
Yeah.
So we have an initial 15,000 acres there, and we'll look to expand our land position, hopefully up to 100,000 plus acres. In short time. And we're building world-class lithium projects to feed the supply chain with our breakthrough technology.
Do you see lithium being the secret to like having flying cars one day do you ever see that possibility happening? because there's so many, like proposed electric vehicles that can like basically are large drones that can both drive and fly. And they're saying that, the secret to it is lithium at the end of the day.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily like lithium.
Mm-hmm.
Lithium is just a material. It's a commodity. Now it does come in different forms, similar to how you can have like ice, water, or steam. Like that's all water in different form. Lithium can be in different forms, which could make it more potent, which ultimately can make a better battery. It's not about the lithium, it's about the battery. And the way that you need to think about batteries is how much energy density does the battery have? So that's how much energy is packed into this like thing for how much it weighs. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you have a battery that has, a bajillion watts of energy and it only weighs a couple pounds, you'll be able to power an airplane, right? But if it weighs 1,000,000 pounds and only has a little bit of energy, well, you're obviously not going to be able to fly an airplane, right? So it's less about the lithium and more about making batteries with higher and higher energy density.
If you were to design a totally energy independent property, right? So like, a lot of these people are, billionaires are designing doomsday bunkers, whatnot. But if you were to like design like a compound using lithium batteries to help store, would you do solar, try to figure out like wind? Like what would be the best way to like, let's say you have like 10 acres, a 10-acre property. What would you do to like make an energy independent spot?
Yeah. Today with existing technology, you got to go with solar. You obviously could build a windmill. We know what those look like. They're huge. Your doomsday bunker might be easily discovered. But solar has become extremely effective, both in terms of functionality and in terms of cost. Hydro obviously is efficient, but does your property have like a stream or a river or a waterfall? Like chances are unlikely. But hydro is a very, very great source of renewable energy. But like I said earlier, ultimately it's all about nuclear. If you could have an SMR, small modular reactor,
exist?
Companies are working on them. They don't yet commercially exist. But small modular nuclear reactors are going to be able to power buildings. Ultimately, larger scale reactors will be able to power cities. That is where the future of energy lies. And it's just a very simple process, splitting atoms or merging atoms. And it's creating energy on, an atomic level that is just about getting the science there. And then it's free energy.
What do you think about like the batteries that are supposed to just stop electricity from being stranded in the grid? So like strategically positioning batteries in different places in the grid,
like overflow. You're saying, yeah. I mean, it's good. It's we're very lucky in the United States. We've built our grid and our infrastructure to minimize blackouts. Like you rarely experience blackouts in the United States, but a lot of places around the world, like there are gaps in power. And like, if too many people plug into the system, there's too much demand on power, then there's blackouts. So having some sort of extra like overflow storage is important. And, where people are building utility scale grids for that exact reason. And power is how our whole society functions. So having blackouts is like the last thing. Power and water, right? We don't want any gaps in power and water. And anything that you can do to ensure that, and backup batteries is one of those things, like important.
And last question before we wrap up, just getting back to something we talked about way earlier in the episode, but how did the NFL take away your ability to be an agent?
Oh my God.
So
So
like how can they do that?
it was a crazy situation. And looking back, it's just so unfortunate. Like I was ahead of my time. I became an NFL agent in 2010. The summer of 2010. And the way I was able to do that was I found, so becoming an agent, there's like the guidelines, and you're supposed to have an undergraduate and a graduate degree because they want to make sure that agents have fiduciary responsibility for their client, right? And the way that it's set up is you need to become an agent before you can represent someone, which you think would be logical. Some other leagues, that's not necessarily the case. Like you can start representing someone and then become like a certified agent. In the NFL, you have to be an agent first. And the way that the timing worked out with my friends that wanted me to represent them, they would graduate, and then the draft was in April. So I needed to become an agent that summer before, which is when they host like the new agent seminar and quiz. You need to take a test. So I became an agent in between my junior and senior year. And the loophole was you need to have undergraduate and graduate degree, or you can have sufficient negotiating experience. That's word for word. And I was like, I have that. I've like negotiated multi-million-dollar contracts for the record label with Sammy Adams. So I put in some example contracts that I had done, and my application got approved to go take the test, and if I passed, become an agent. And I got certified as an agent, and in like October of 2010. And so I'm super pumped, and my friends, I can't sign them yet because they're still in college, but after like the last bowl game, you sign them, and then the draft is in April or whatever. And I gave my buddy a ride in my golf. I had a golf cart that I drove around USC, and because why not? Right. Like I was running a multi-million-dollar record label, and as a student at USC, and so I had my logos on my golf cart, and I had this like big speaker that I'd bump Sammy and like my artists. Dude, my college days were now these players are making millions and like probably living it up. But like I essentially was like the NIL person in college. That's to an extent.
How many players did you have in your agency?
None. I never got to sign a player.
Oh wow.
Because so I got certified in October, and then I gave this kid a ride in my golf cart to like practice or whatever. And I think that USC was still like under sanctions for Reggie Bush, which, by the way, so pumped that he got his Heisman back. USC needs to put his jersey back up on the thing. USC asks me for money for donations all the time. And I haven't said this to them, but I will never donate to USC until they reinstate Reggie Bush.
Yeah, I think they just retired his number.
Did they?
Yeah,
okay,
if they're right.
Good. So now those
Him
people
and
who ask
Williams,
me for money, I'll consider. But so I pretty much had all these forces coming against me. I'd given this kid a ride in my golf cart. USC came out and said the player was suspended for a game for accepting an extra benefit from an NFL agent of this ride, which they said the golf cart ride was worth $5, and that he needed to pay $5 to a charity, and they suspended him for a game. So, because they were trying, so USC was coming after me, trying to expel me.
Oh my God.
For this. The NFL Players Association was kind of caught off guard because they were like, how did this like student become a certified agent? Because I didn't have the degrees, right? And then all of the agents who were representing players, none of them wanted me to become an agent because I was essentially their biggest threat. Like probably going to go sign like all these USC players, and USC is one of the biggest schools that like feeder into the NFL, right?
Wow.
So they the agents probably lobbied to have the NFLPA
Whoa.
and the school probably all lobbied to have the NFLPA immediately revoke my license. And they used the most severe like termination or revocation of a license that I think only 5 NFL agents in history had received, like immediate termination and revocation. And the 5 people had stolen like millions of dollars, like defrauded their clients. And they did this to me for giving a kid a ride in a golf, like my friend, a ride in a golf cart to practice.
Jesus.
And it just goes to show you that sometimes life's not fair, but there's nothing that you can do about it. And dude, life's not fair. You just got to bounce back and like fucking take your punches and keep rolling,
How hard was the test to become an agent?
It was decently challenging. So you need to read the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, like learn the CBA, which I think is at least several hundred pages, 300 or 400 pages. And then there's like another like study book that's like another 300 or 400 pages. So I was about studying 800 pages worth of information. And then I think the test was like 80 or so multiple choice questions. And I think it's a pass, no pass situation. You need to get like 70 or 75%. So like I passed. Like and I don't think they tell you what you got. I just passed.
Yeah. That's wild that you were able to become an agent and then get revoked like probably like within the span of like 3 months.
Yeah, it was within 3 months.
That's crazy. Well, you still are probably the youngest agent ever. You
I probably always will be too.
Yeah. I don't think they'll let anybody. In these NIL days.
Yeah, actually that's true. Yeah, it probably won't be NIL.
Like there's gonna be some TikToker who's gonna start signing players like out of college. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because no, actually probably not.
I don't know the rules today. Like, can NFL players sign, or like they can sign for marketing deals and stuff? Like
marketing agents are different. So I could actually see it from that standpoint.
Right. But marketing agents can work for agents or whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. So speaking of mountains, Kilimanjaro, have you been training?
A little bit, not as much as I should.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it the most aggressive route. It's between a 5 to 9 day hike. And obviously I chose 5 days.
Yeah. So you're going to got to cover some ground there.
Yeah.
It's not Kilimanjaro. I've Chris Long, friend of the program. He's climbed it with his charity.
Who's Chris Long, the former DN?
Howie's son.
Right. He played in the league. DN, I think.
He
Virginia.
played for the Eagles, UVA, was on the Rams, St. Louis Rams.
Yeah. He was good.
Great dude. He climbs it, but it's not as like dangerous as Everest.
It's not.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So Kilimanjaro is no technical climbing.
Yeah.
It's just hiking. So you can walk the whole summit, but it's the tallest mountain in Africa.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, how many places have you been in Africa?
I've been to 8 countries in Africa, and I've been to Tanzania. After Tanzania, I'm going gorilla trekking in Rwanda and Uganda. So I'll add 2 more countries.
The Bawindi National Forest.
Yeah,
I was just there.
Yeah.
I coached the Ugandan national football team.
Nice, dude.
That's a whole other story.
Nice.
I do a lot of side quests.
Yeah. And you're running a lithium metal company too, which we didn't even talk about.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
People are going to be listening to this right now and be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like I have a couple jobs.
Yeah. Bill runs a lithium metal refinery company.
We're working on it. But I recently was in Namibia, which was honestly so cool.
The coolest, dude.
Yeah.
I went skydiving in Namibia.
Oh, dude, that great place to do it.
Yeah.
Best roads in Africa.
Right on what's it called? The Skull Coast, or like the...
Oh, no, I was inland. I was near the Panhandle.
Did you hike the dunes, Big Daddy?
No, I almost hit a freaking elephant while driving.
Oh, shit.
I was in the Panhandle going down to Botswana. And literally I have a family member who lives out there. And I was just like low key driving. Like we didn't really have a plan. Like we never even planned to see animals. We were just there to visit my uncle. Literally was driving down the road and like there's like cattle in the road, sometimes goats, whatnot. So, we'd hit a nice piece of like the best tarmac we had in a while. So you're like going pretty fast. And all of a sudden just fucking elephant just comes out of nowhere.
I hope you missed it, dude.
I almost hit, like it came out of nowhere.
That would have been sad.
Like, holy, like imagine like, but the craziest thing is
probably would have gone to jail, dude.
Yeah. Well, no, actually so a hippo got hit. We passed. There's this crazy video. I saw a hippo roadkill.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh man, like someone hit this. And they're like, yeah, a truck hit it. The village is going to come butcher it within the hour. And the sun was setting. And I was like, yo, give me your WhatsApp. Send me photos when they do that. And literally I
wonder how hippo meat tastes.
Apparently it's a lot like pork, but like really good pork.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But they eat it raw. They're just cutting it off and eating it.
That sounds disgusting, actually.
I would have tried it. Actually, probably cooked.
Yeah.
But I have these wild photos of them butchering a hippo. But, we're going to probably wrap it up. I know you got places to go. Thank you so much for coming on. Check out the Extraordinary Show, Teague's podcast. Go follow Teague Egan on Twitter, Instagram. You have a pretty unique name.
Yeah. Teague.
Is it Irish?
It's Irish. Yeah. It's Irish.
So, thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasure, dude.
Great talking to you. I'll show you the rest of the office. I know you got a very important meeting to get to. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap. Yo. So that was our interview with Teague Egan. Great dude. Very successful businessman. Here we got some questions. I'm exhausted. I got trapped in Philadelphia last night till like I thought I was doing the responsible decision and not staying for the PLL after party. PLL championship game. Archers won. It was awesome. But I didn't stay for the after party. I got a train at 8:30. Apparently the train didn't get to Philly till 11:30. Someone jumped on the tracks in Baltimore and the train was just stuck there and it didn't leave Baltimore till 10:30. So I was just literally in the Philadelphia Amtrak station, probably one of the sketchier places to be very late at night. It's actually not that sketchy, but
I was going to say you only do after parties for movie premieres.
Nope. I'm now retired from after parties. Some will say.
All right. First question. How would you fix the NFL kickoff?
I think what they have is pretty good. There's more returns. It's, less, the impact is lower speed, the new way they set it up. There has been more returns and it's kind of more exciting. I would, though, allow onside kicks to be at any time. You can't just be down and you don't have to announce it. You have to put that back. That's my only stipulation with the new kickoff rules.
Will Trump make it through the election alive?
Dude, I can't believe they try to shoot him again. I mean, this was a little, the thing is it's now in people's heads and like someone's going to, it must be terrifying to like have people trying to kill you all the time. But this guy turns out he's like sat in the bush for 12 hours until they saw him. And he literally was like in Fortnite. He just had his gun barrel sticking out of the bush and the Secret Service started shooting at him. And then he like went on a huge chase. They didn't actually shoot him though. But I hope you don't want to see anyone die. But if he dies, then he becomes immortalized almost.
You and Stu need to do some episodes. You and Stu would be a power duo.
I do need to go get Stu Feiner on the show. The guy's electric.
Is Braylon Allen worth a fantasy pickup?
Yeah. Just pick him up. Keep him on your bench.
You were sitting next to Frank the Tank during the Dolphins-Bills stream. Were you ever afraid of catching any strays?
Yeah. When Frank starts to freak out, it's sort of like, whoa, I kind of feel bad. Like the whole plan was we were going to be Bills bettors against the Dolphin fans. But then Frank was kind of like, why are you guys all ganging up on me? And like in his defense, it did seem that way. And I felt so bad after like it got revealed, but like we were just all on a Josh Allen anytime touchdown.
Oh, okay. So you did have a bet in it.
Yeah.
He did make a valid point when he said that the Bills are rivals to the Jets too. So
I know.
Also, I just want to say for our Florida pick from Audio Crack the podcast, we did not know that Connor Wegman was not going to play. We got hosed with the backup who looked like Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, that was bad.
I was betting on Connor Wegman.
That was really bad.
What a weekend for short kings between Kyler Murray having an insane game against the Rams and Marab, last name I cannot pronounce, and I didn't even bother to learn the last name. That fight was total crap. I had O'Malley to win the fight, and it was just a brutal watch all the way around.
O'Malley's actually pretty short too. He's just skinny.
No, he's got to be over 6 foot.
No, dude, I saw a picture of him and Jake Paul, and you're shorter than Jake Paul. But let me see. And Jake Paul is like actually 5'11".
Well, Marab is fucking 5'6".
Yeah.
Shout out 5'6" guys.
Yeah, he's 5'11". Sean O'Malley's 5'11".
Okay, you can basically round that up.
Yeah, Marab's only 5'6". I mean, it's crazy. Like wrestlers taking down strikers. You always hate to see it.
Dude, O'Malley was actually afraid to get close to him. Like, it was just, he knew once he grabbed him, it was over. He just takes him to the ground, lets him get up, takes him to the ground again. He just takes all your stamina.
I would like those wrestlers will just beat you down. Like, there's nothing you can do if you're like right there.
I was feeling really good about O'Malley until I saw Marab come out in the Khabib hat. And I was like, oh my God, it looks like Khabib 2.0.
It is what it is. Oh, the Philly Fanatic guy who has the Philly Fanatic is a tattoo on his stomach. He tore his ACL belly bumping with Jason Kelsey. Yeah, they're on stage for Monday Night Football. Yeah, I can't stay up to watch Monday Night Football tonight. I mean, this is my prediction. You know, the Falcons just get absolutely blown out. Kirk Cousins sucks, overpaid. They have no weapons, and the Eagles are, you know, Jason Kelsey's there. The vibe's just way too high for Philly right now. It's absolutely going to be the Eagles.
I have Jalen Hurts under an interception, so if he throws one, you know why I'm angry tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Baby Gronk went up against the best DB in the country and torched him.
Dude, low-key Baby Gronk, now that he's playing tackle, it is like he does kind of look pretty good for whatever middle school players he's playing. Like, the other guys are going to catch up to him, but the facts are the facts. Like, he grew early and he's dominating, and that wasn't the best DB.
Jets-Titans game brought me back to a, pardon my take, Mount Rushmore of sports noises. When I heard the block punt happen for the Jets, there's nothing like a block punt noise. It is just electric. It is electric.
Because you hear the sound of the punt and then the ball hitting someone else, like, those block punts are dangerous. If you take one to the stomach, I remember one guy in college, he blocked a punt, and he just like had the wind totally taken out of him because he just got hit with the ball so hard. It's powerful noise.
Also, hot seat, the Titans special teams coach, whoever he is, 2 for 2 games in a row with the block punt. One of them was a touchdown that cost them the game.
I mean, they need to figure out protections. Also, the Jets, they should have beat the Titans way worse.
We deserve to lose that game.
Yeah, Will Levis had another shout out. Will Levis, huge fan. Come on, Audio Crack, please. He had another bad turnover. He's trying to do too much. Like, just take the sack, buddy.
Turnovers.
I mean, I've done it. You know, I've been guilty of it too. Like, you want to make a play, but that guy, you know, the Jets need to produce more on offense. They need to do more on offense. The defense was decent, but like, they need to start consistently taking drives to the red zone and scoring.
They have to sign Hassan Reddick.
Yeah.
Jermaine Johnson's done for the year. He tore his Achilles. CJ Mosley, his foot is messed up. He can barely make it through a quarter of football.
Jeez.
We're hurting.
At least there was a dub, because that was bad.
The Rodgers throw to Breece Hall, right sideline in the end zone, was vintage Rodgers. And then the third one to Garrett Wilson was also vintage Rodgers. But Rodgers cannot move. He's a statue in the pocket. Once his protection breaks down, he's looking right for the check down. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
He looks his age. He does look 40.
Yeah. But hey, what you going to do?
I think it's his last year, honestly.
I might have accidentally got secondhand high on the subway coming home from the office. And I don't smoke weed, but I was sitting next to a dude who just was chiefing right next to me. I think I got pretty high. I wasn't trying to inhale it, and I tried to get up and move. It was just so crowded. This guy was an asshole for sparking up on a crowded subway. So I hate being high, but I kind of feel high.
Could he get arrested for that?
He got me intoxicated. Do I look high?
Unfortunately, our cameras aren't that clear right now. It will be clear on the YouTube, but you were looking iffy.
This is just so inconsiderate. This guy smoking weed on the subway and just hotboxing me.
And it wasn't even a pen.
Yeah, he was just smoking. He was like, it was straight up backwood.
You have a lighter and everything?
Yeah, dude. The dude was just like, honestly may have been a pre-roll. I don't even know. That was wild. I haven't been high in freaking years. So, but I'm not like high. I'm just like tired and like, why is my heart beating so fast? But anyway, gotta bring it for the crackheads. Please subscribe, do all the things. Give Teague Egan a follow on all platforms, and we will see you Thursday.
Daddy used to knock them down, yeah, and I should have known not to mess around with the nightlife or the bright lights or the women who won't be my wife. He told me, Sonny, leave them vices on the shelf. Oh, but the dog's in the dive with a silver bullet, and if I can